The older you are, the lower you will rate national unity to be 10 years from now. So the older groups are a bit more pessimistic. Perhaps because the age groups of 30 to 35, they were the ones who experienced full hand the sort of policies that emerged in the 1970s. And again, the same pattern, the two red ones, national unity being important in one's life and having friends of different religions in Malaysia. So you see that these other two red marks there show you that yes, national unity is important in my life, and yes, I do have friends of many different religions in the country, but yet I think that national unity is going to deteriorate in 10 years from now. So why is that? And we came to the conclusion that on a personal level, people don't have any problems, but it's when you start to think about policies, the sort of legislated policies which are out there in the 5 that I highlighted earlier, economic, education, national unity, religion, and so on. So on that level, when people start to think on a macro, systemic level, that's when they start to realize that, hey, maybe national unity in the country is not as well as what I am experiencing personally. Okay? Based on this model, we generated the numbers again, and it shows that overall slight increase in national unity from now to 10 years from now. And it shows you that all variables will predict national unity to be increasing, albeit there are some slight differences in terms of magnitude. But those that predict national unity will drop are number 1, the urban respondents, number 2, those in the south, that's quite interesting, and thirdly, those in the age group of 30 to 35. So these will be the 3 hotspots that the government needs to look at urgently. Again, this says the same thing about national unity falling for those 3 categories, urban, south, and 30 to 35-year-olds. Now I think I don't have too much time. We should stop very soon for question and answer from the press. I know many of you are here today. Thank you for coming. We do have additional dimensions which add to the richness of the data, which affirm and confirm the sort of conclusions that we have come to. These additional dimensions are language literacy.
And all Malaysians who are interested in nationality should support it.
Thank you. Yes, I also hope that we receive more funding to do research in East Malaysia. But before the next question, just to answer your question, we covered Peninsular Malaysia, the whole of Peninsular Malaysia, as I said. The states that we covered in the central region were Wilayah Persekutuan, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, and Negeri Sembilan. In the north, we classified that as Penang, Ipoh, and Kedah. In the south, Johor and Malacca. And in the east, Kelantan, Pahang, and Terengganu. And urban areas would be market centers or capital cities in the respective regions. Rural areas would be small towns with population of less than 10,000, which is the government definition of rural, within the respective regions. And you can, there's a full list of the specific cities and rural areas that we covered if you want to look at it. Sample size was 1,700 in urban and 300 in the rural, with a margin of error of about 3.1% plus minus.
Tricia, hi, it's Irene here.
Hi.
And thanks for your research. Am I accurate to actually deduct what your care actually failure?
Well, based on the research, the study results do show that the Chinese, in comparison to vis-a-vis the other races in Malaysia, do feel the most dissatisfied with national unity in the country. They do feel the most unfairly treated in Malaysia. And how this will have an effect on national unity policy as a whole, I think it's something that the government and policymakers need to look at very urgently, especially in light of what we've seen in the recent weeks. This study was not done last week or last month. It was done last year. And I think it's a very, very accurate reflection of the Chinese, or the Indians for that matter, were feeling unfairly treated in the country.
Can I just add to that? I think we are saying that the superficial type of campaigns or the superficial type of statements which are being made every day in the newspapers, where you have campaigns of national unity, where you have budaya events, are very surface level, very superficial, and this should really change. When we talk about national unity policies, what you need to look at really are the underlying problems which are faced by Malaysians all over. Education policies, scholarships, quotas, religious policies, racial policies. I think we must be more specific rather than just have campaigns or education or awareness programs which only scratch the surface. I think we are showing for the first time the data which has been coming out from, I think, a lot of people's perceptions. But here, when you ask us whether this is a perception, this is not a perception. This is based on pure research of 15-minute interviews with people on the ground, as compared to the usual telephone interviews. We didn't want to do the telephone interviews because you make your phone call, you're not sure who's on the other line, you're not sure whether he's comfortable talking to you. But here we had a research team going down to the ground, speaking to people for 15 minutes, getting their answers to these questions. So I think the thrust of our report, there's a thick report here, which will be released very soon, is that the superficial type of campaigns no longer work at the moment. I think we must really look at universities, our schools, and if we are ready to do that, then I think that there's something